Hey everyone, how's it going? Continuing with the Halloween season with a comic with topics that I've made very clear that I'm a fan of in the past, theme parks. Whether it's the Disney minis or that one time I showed pics from Fright Fest. It's safe to say that you guys know that I always have fun there. Even when you were on the Green Lantern ride at Magic Mountain? Okay, that was painful and probably can't have kids, but it's gone now and the rest of the park is still fun. Point is, I love going to theme parks, especially during the Halloween season. In fact, the last time I trick-or-treated was at Disneyland, which was pretty fun. But we were talking about comics, not parks. Luckily, we're going to talk about a comic that's about a park. Dark Ride, published in 2022, it is the latest of the classic horror trope, the haunted circus/amusement park. Will the ride have fun twists and turns, or will this lead to refunds? Well, let's fasten up, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle, and hold on tight as we enter Dark Ride. Warning, spoilers. Though before we begin, I do have to give a trigger warning, as there are some brief mentions of self-harm and abuse. I will place a time code so you can avoid it. It's brief, but I don't want to upset anybody. We open in the 1970s as we see Arthur Dante, a ride designer for a theme park, fighting with his wife over his firing since Arthur has the insistence to make horror-themed rides. The fight's pretty standard. He assures her that he can find a new job. She wishes she could have married one of his co-workers, leading to a gruesome fight and Arthur murdering his wife. And this is why you really shouldn't bring homework with you. So much drama. Arthur tries to get rid of the body, but after digging the grave, a voice comes out saying it loved Arthur's ideas and wants to make a deal with him. A deal that will lead to the greatest ride of his life. Fast forward to the present day, we see that Arthur's deal has led to the founding of his own theme park, Devilland, a horror theme park with all the flavors of the genre, like the thrilling Murder Mountain, the interactive Zombie Zone, and the walk through Werewolf Woods. There was also a Crystal Lake Flume ride and a Puppet Master live show, but the rights expired, and we see this land of joy and scares through the eyes of the park's latest employee, Owen Seasons. A longtime admirer who is taking this as a summer job, he meets the park staff like Katie Kingston and the security staff who, well, keep an eye on the attendees, mostly pervs who try to get busy in the Tunnel of Lovecraft, or the people who are trying to get freaky with the animatronics. Yeah, that's one more thing Garfield has something in common with Lovecraft. What? I'll explain later. Owen is handed his ID badge and is told to hold on to it like his life depends on it. Gee, I wonder what will happen. He also gets to see the mascots, Old Nick, the Fun, and the demon that started it all, Danny D. Evil. Owen asks if he would get to put on the costume, but Kay tells him that he wouldn't want that job, as the costume stinks and the guys who do wear them are really odd and keep to themselves. Things get even more eventful on his first day as he meets Arthur's son, Sam Haim Dante, or Sam for short. Sam really changed after Trick or Treat. Sam has been running the park since his father's absence and is seemingly taking a liking to Owen as a fellow fan of horror, though Owen unintentionally gets a guy fired who was suggesting to Sam to add family-friendly to the attractions to attract younger kids. Well, if the Simpsons have proven anything, that's unnecessary. But Sam isn't the only one visiting the park, as his sister, Halloween, has shown up and he isn't too happy as she's pretty much a train wreck and a social media whore. She tells Sam that she was asked to come by their father, which Sam ain't too happy to hear. Meanwhile, we also meet Theo, a YouTuber who's pretty much a parody of the YouTubers that specialize in park trivia, though his content is more focused on the park's mysteries, in particular the whereabouts of Arthur Dante, as he's been MIA for some time. Back with Owen, he's about to tell his sister how his first day went, but realizes he lost his ID badge and must find it, going to end up in a ride that reenacts his parents' death as they died at sea when he was young. He's then ambushed by the mascots who force him to go on a ride. Meanwhile, Sam talks to his father about needing a new ride, but Arthur says there's no need to worry as he's already found inspiration. Well, Owen, at least the bosses like you. Jump a month later, and we see a new employee, Summer, learn about some of the urban legends of the park. Stuff like guests dying, and people seeing a young Arthur Dante riding with them. Though Katie assures her that's all a myth, with the only real mystery being what happened to Owen. As though the cops did get involved, no one was actually able to find any sign of him. Back with Sam, we see him with his daughter Autumn. Yeah, kinda scraping on the bottom of the barrel with that. I mean, I can't really see them going with Dia de los Muertos or Oban, cause, well, that's just appropriation, man. Meanwhile, we learn the truth that Summer is actually Owen's sister, an investigating journalist trying to find her brother. Now I'm gonna bring up the trigger warning here, so timestamp to avoid it. Back with Sam and his daughter, tucking her into bed with the plushie of Danny, but when he leaves, the same voice who was talking to Arthur in the beginning asks her if she wants to help her father make something scary, compelling her to take a knife and carve up her arm, leaving a scar that looks a lot like Danny. Sam takes her to the hospital, and though losing a lot of blood, is stable. However, things still continue to get creepy for Sam as he hears the voice of his mother beckoning him. Was it really her? Will Summer be able to learn the truth about Owen? And what exactly was the deal that made made Arthur create the scariest place on Earth? Well, you're gonna have to read to find out. The comic's short, only being 4 issues, but filled with a ton of horror fun. The book was written by Josh Williamson, who I've mentioned multiple times, with the earliest being his take on Disney's Haunted Mansion, which I really liked. Honestly, it does give an R-rated mansion vibe, which is even less of a shock since, well, it's very clear on surface it's meant to be a Disney parody. And yes, Disney parodies aren't really new, we've been getting those for decades. Hell, we've had a whole horror game based on it. But what makes it unique is the characters around Arthur along with the park itself, as Williamson took his time to make this really feel like an actual park, with both its history and even drawing a map they could see in the back of the book. Definitely up there with Horrorland from the Goosebumps series and the Carnival games. Moving on to characters, we'll talk about the son of the founder, Sam Hain. When you meet him, he comes off as a spoiled punk who lives in his father's shadow, but as we get to know him, we see that he's not too different from Arthur when he started out. He's constantly unsure of himself and depends on his father to come up with the ideas, but at the same time wants to do things his own way. He also loves his daughter and is trying to be a good dad, but it's a classic business over family. Well, maybe not too classic as we learn more about what his father is truly up to and the truth behind the park's actual history, leading to the question if he will follow in his father's footsteps and continue the business. Next we got Summer Season. Oh my god, I just realized her name. Anyway, she's a pretty badass character, as she's definitely not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's constantly on her toes when at the park, not just because she is suspicious of everyone being involved in her brother's appearance, but because she really can't handle horror, even having the tendency to punch someone who just immediately startles her. But she pushes forward to find Owen since he's the only family she has left after their parents died. When she's not searching for him, Summer shows that she is kind-hearted and is friendly with everyone at the park, at least the ones she believes might not be involved in Owens' appearance. Next we have Halloween, Sam's sister, and the devil not really in disguise. Though she has the public see her as a sex-crazed, media-sucking airhead, she hides a twisted side to her. Sure, she loves the attention and is very open with her sexuality, but she shows that she has a devious side that would make her father proud. She's a very charismatic antagonist that keeps us guessing. Finally, for the individual characters, we got the founder of Devilland, Arthur Dante. After the opening, Arthur becomes more like the monster in the shadows. You never see his true face, but you feel his presence and the influence he has on the park and his children. They are always reminded there is a greater force in control. Now, how much in control? That's yet to be seen, but you know in the end is about fulfilling his own horrible fantasy. As for the others like Theo, Owen, the voice, and the rest of the staff, they're all just fine. I dug the bait and switch when they make you believe that Owen will be the main character, but we don't get to know him too much as an individual outside the first issue, or what Summer tells us, at least until the end. As for Theo, he's a funny character, but mostly feels like he's just there for exposition, and to be the funny parody. And the voice, along with the rest of the cast, is really just in the background setting up what will be happening later down the line. Not bad, but not too much to say. The art was done by Andrew Bressman, who's done work with Williamson before, and still, as he's doing the art for a good chunk of the G.I. Joe line, like Cobra Commander, and worked for DC with Justice League Incarnate. Here, he definitely gets to stretch his horror legs. Each moment you can tell he had fun drawing the twisted imagery of the park, even the fun Easter eggs for the horror fans to pick up in the background. On a whole, Dark Ride is a fun horror story that definitely leaves you wanting more. I do think it's a bit rushed in the end regarding what happens to Owen, but overall it's a fun ride I definitely recommend getting in line for again. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates. Next time, we're going to continue diving into the dark deals and creatures of chaos as we cover a novel of all things, the Book of Bill. Later.